I'm going into another live stream this morning. Yeah, just want to start off by saying that today I might have to cut the live stream a little bit shorter than usually. I just heard about the passing of a good friend, someone that I only knew over the internet, but we've had a great relationship over the years, just from being on Facebook and supporting each other's posts. So yeah, I might have to cut the live stream a little bit shorter than usually. Hey Dave, good morning. Just saying that I have literally just learned about the passing of a good friend. So I might at some point might feel like, ending the live stream a little bit earlier than usually. I already pushed the live stream a little bit. I wanted to wait another hour or so until I start the live stream, because this has greatly affected me, because when you literally just hear about someone passing, that is I don't know, it's just the kind of news that you never want to hear. I knew Katrina was her name, and she was one of the first people who started following the page, supporting my page at a time when I wasn't really doing great work. It was a time when sometimes people see that you are dealing with mental health problems and this kind of stuff. They see your posts and they know that they know their own darkness, and they kind of recognize it in other people. So this was someone who always supported me early on. She sent me a fantastically beautiful card that was handmade, very nice, and that was when I wasn't getting any kind of a lot of fan mail or that, these things. And I knew of her struggle with mental health over the years. I've seen it happening all the time, and I always try to be supportive. But these are things where you see that someone isn't doing well, that they have problems, but you also don't know what to do. You don't know how to change the things that are already in motion in their life. And that was always pretty hard for me, and I still try to be supportive. And I'm just heartbroken today that I guess it didn't work out. I had just hoped that she would at some point turn around and have 20 good years, 20, 30 good years left, when you overcome these inner demons that we sometimes have. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work like that. That is kind of a Disney idea, Disney movie idea. And but I talked about it. I wrote a big post this morning on Facebook. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's just something where it reminded me how important it is to when you see your friends not doing well, when you see someone in your life that matters to you, and you realize, even sometimes subconsciously, that they aren't doing good, that something isn't all right. It reminded me how important it is to be kind and supportive to people, that you never know what goes on in people, and in this case I knew that she wasn't doing so well, but seeing how it eventually, I didn't expect it. I just saw a post of a few days ago, and when I saw that post, I felt like, oh, I haven't seen her post in a while, or I haven't seen her posts in a while. And subconsciously at that point, I kind of felt it. When people suddenly get so quiet, they don't talk a lot about post a lot, that can often mean that something isn't going right, you know. And yeah, I'm just feel kind of sorry today. I wish I could have changed it. I wish she had talked about it, but unfortunately, that's how it is sometimes. So yeah, that's the reason why I might at some point, if I at some point say, "Hey guys, I need to take a step back here, need to take a moment" or something like that, it might happen. But until then, I want to be here. You know, I enjoy this. It's good that I'm doing it, but I also want to start this stream by saying, look, I lost a friend, and I feel sorry about it, and I want everyone to keep that in mind, that it can happen at any moment. We can lose the people that we love at any moment, and it just matters that I believe in not arguing with people that you care about, not saying angry words, because they affect people. So yeah, trying to see the good in this, and to say that, I mean, for the future, when I see my friends like not not doing so well, I hope I will at that moment recognize it, that pattern that I had a few days ago when I saw that post, when I felt like maybe I should write a message, something like that, but it was so subconscious that I didn't even formulate that thought. I just saw it, and kind of, I don't know, you know how it is when it's subconscious, but it instantly like came back right now this morning, and yeah. But unfortunately, we're living in times when a lot of people are lonely, a lot of people don't feel loved, and I hope that. And I always, when I do my stuff, when I do my videos, I really want to stress the point how important it is to me, to help when you see someone in need. In this case, it didn't make a difference, but there's always another chance. There's always someone who is like on a path like that, where you see it happening. Yeah, Dave, take care. I appreciate you checking in every day. I might at some point, if I cut the stream short, I will be back later. If not, I would just focus on sewing out now, just doing the usual stuff, doing a Q&A. If people have questions, I will be taking them. Trying to keep the stream a little bit not going too dark. So yeah, I have a few containers left that I want to sell out now. But yeah, I also wanted to say I lost a friend, and I maybe I wouldn't be here for people if it hadn't been for people like that who supported me early on, before I even had a user base, had a community, or even had good content. Sometimes people just see that you have a good character, and they believe in you, they support you, and I'm just here today because of people like that. So I want to dedicate whatever I do today to my friend who passed away. Yeah, but yeah, I also want to move on. I don't want to just have a dark stream. So we would just move on. I want to sow out a little bit. I have a few containers here, where I really want to get the seeds in the ground. So yeah, this is from the cross Angelo, verse 12, and these need to be sown out because it's a good cross. So yeah, let's do that. Also, a lot of seeds that aren't really healthy looking, so we need to clean it up a little bit. But yeah, I'm glad to be here, you know. Hey, good morning. So yeah, I'm sowing out here. I was just saying I might end the stream a little bit sooner today. I just heard about a friend of mine passing away, and I might need a moment here and there. But for now I'm here sowing out, trying my best to just do something, you know. Otherwise, it would be a wasted morning. No, it's nobody. It is not good for anybody if I'm sad. So I'm just here spending a little time with you guys, sowing out. That is also important, you know. So yeah, any general questions, happy to take them. If not, we will just continue to sow out. There's so many seeds that need to be in the soil. I have a little bit more soil here. I'm all right. I already took an hour longer or half an hour longer. So yeah. But thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, good morning, everyone. So yeah, let's continue. I'm sowing out here. I have seeds from the cross Angelo crossed with Fast 12. That is a good cross. Angelo being a follow-up hybrid of Asterix by Rolf Autenried, and Fast 12 being one of those relatives of Leichte Feder. The way I understood it, I mean, I have written about that hybrid in my book. So the parents are out there. I wrote them down, but I think it's something with Leichte Feder. The weather here, by the way, it was a beautiful day yesterday, super sunny, and the night was super cold. Full moon night, and yeah, cold, very cold. I might have to put the heaters into the greenhouse today. Yeah, I think we are getting the first frosting on the ground very soon here in the next. I mean, we already had it a month ago, but it will come back soon. Yeah, it was a beautiful clear sky. When I was out with Mika yesterday night, I was impressed, you know. Beautiful moon, full moon. I like these nights that are so bright that you can walk around and just do stuff like it was like during the day, you know. Yeah, in this cross, there was a lot of fruit matter that was attached to the seeds, so we will have to clean them up a little bit longer. Want to make sure that we do not get a fungal infection in the container. I already heated up the oven, so we have temperature to induce germination in here. In the last couple of weeks, I try to keep the temperature steady at over 30 degrees or maybe 29. The cat loves it. Kami loves to sleep here. And it's also great for the seedlings that we're sowing out on the stream. So it's kind of tropical in here. But that's like how I like it. I enjoyed having a wood oven right beside me. That is something that is one of the biggest luxuries that I ever got. Like just buying that kind of great oven that you can use whenever it doesn't matter if you run out of heating oil or whatever you use, you always get a little bit of firewood, and that's a great kind of heat, that kind of warmth that you get from an oven. I love that. I wish I would live in a country where that would be the only thing that I need, you know, to heat the house. But yeah, everyone who just joined us, I want to say again, I I want to dedicate this stream and the day to a friend who passed away, unfortunately, way too soon. I wish sometimes these moments happen where you just get taken by surprise when you hear the news of someone you knew passing away, and it happened again today. So yeah, I just want to say that I lost a great friend that I was proud to be her friend, and yeah, life is often unfair. We often lose good people way too early. So yeah, but I'm still trying to just get, to enjoy this. I always enjoy these streams, so I don't want to have it like, take over the whole stream. But I just want to be open. I want to talk about it because I wasn't sure if I could even go on stream in the beginning, but now it's better. I don't know. The first, like when you hear something, you often need a few hours to process, and now I have processed, and yeah, I'm still sad, but it doesn't change anything if it affects everything. But I want to say that I wouldn't be here today for people like Katrina who passed away, who supported me early on, who supported my channel and believed in what I did, when everything was really like a fragile little seedling that could have just be snuffed out by everything, by life, So I wouldn't be here today if it hadn't been for a lot of people who believed in me, and so every now and then when I'm in a situation like that, I want to point that out. You don't succeed today without people believing in you, and I will be eternally grateful, eternally thankful for that. I hope that I will be able to repay the favor. Just believe in other people the way she believed in me. So yeah, but I want to continue sowing out now. It's not. I really don't want it to overshadow everything. We're doing good work here, and that is also important. So yeah, these are the last seeds from that Angelo cross that I'm sowing out here. This is from 2024. I'm currently sowing out a lot of seeds from 2024 because that was a good year in regards to breeding. Thank you very much. Doing my best. Yeah, that was a good year, and a lot of the seeds haven't been sown out. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm for kind of, starting this off a little bit on the heavy side, but I want everyone. I'm an open person. I'm an open book. I just try to be. I don't know. I don't want to have that big filter. I don't want to have that big filter that we have today. I want people to know when I'm not doing so well, I will be honest, and if I'm doing great, I will be honest too. How do I store my seeds? As they should be stored as cool as possible. I have some frozen where I know that I will not be able to sow them out within the next years. Freezing seeds is a great way that seed banks often use to store seeds, but it has to be done right. It has to be done in a way where humidity and water do not get to the seeds. So you need to really back them up well, ideally with something like silica gel that you can just put in as a drying agent. There are also certain chemicals that you can use, but I forgot which ones. But freezing seeds is a good way to do it. And if that isn't something you want to do, storing them as cool as possible is the second best option. just try to have a temperature that is as low as possible without being like humid, without being like, you should have cool temperatures, but not humidity, because humidity is what decreases the viability of seeds. It's not the cold temperatures, it's really the water, the humidity that sometimes comes from winter. When you have seeds that are exposed to the elements, that have gotten a little bit of constant humidity, that kind of stuff can very fast make your seeds unviable. But yeah, I have some in the freezer. I have some stored at room temperature in the coldest rooms of the house. And when you do that, the seeds stay viable for years. Not always. Some crosses just don't have such a long shelf life, but the colder it is, the longer they remain viable. Do seeds germinate better when they are fresh, or when they have a resting period? Okay, so the opinions about that vary. Seeds, when you have them in the fruit, they are wet. When they are still in the fruit, that they still have a certain amount of humidity in the fruit, and there's a natural mechanism to prevent seeds from germinating inside the fruit. So it helps to take the seeds out of the fruit and let them dry once. But it's already enough when they dry for a few days. That is already enough to overcome the natural protection that is built in these seeds to keep them from germinating inside the fruit. Because if you look at it from an evolutionary point of view, seeds that would germinate inside the fruit would be a waste, would be bad, because they would have no chance to survive long term. So it is best to just wash them, let them dry for a few days or maybe a few weeks, and then sow them out. What you sow out in the first year often has the most viability, and the viability decreases year after year. And stuff like temperature, humidity greatly influence the viability long term. If they are in a if they are in humid conditions, they can dramatically decrease the viability in the next years, or within just the first year and the second. So I try to get the seeds dry and then sow out what I really, really want, where I want the most seedlings that I need. Those I would sow out immediately. Everything else where you feel like, okay, these could be great, maybe I would sow out a handful of them and put the rest aside for later. Maybe you can already see the results of other breeders by that time, because theoretically you could really freeze seeds for a very long time, for maybe 5 years. I have sown out seeds that were from 2015, 2016. Yeah, but you never know. It always depends. Certain cacti just don't have such a long shelf life. They are built different. It's just something that depends. I hope this helps. If not, if you run in trouble, just bring it up, and we discuss it. I think I once had a year when the conditions in the year were so unique that I had a lot of seedlings germinate inside the fruit, and that was rare. I haven't had that since that year. And yeah, that kind of stuff is just bad from an evolutionary point of view, because they are wasted in the fruit. They have no chance to make it there. They will just rot. So yeah, letting them dry a little bit is a good way to, and then start directly. Don't wait too long. So, okay, so the seeds that I have here, I've cleaned them now. I could remove most of the organic material. I'm not sure how many we have here, but it's probably enough to split it up into two. I try to split the good ones up into two, so in case I lose a container, I still have another one as a safety backup. A large part of growing rare plants is also about making sure you have a safety backup. Sometimes it's good to sow out a few seeds yourself and give some others away to friends. That is a good way to ensure that even if your own seedlings don't make it due to whatever reasons, you have someone else that is running them too. That can be a great way to ensure that. In this case, we just have to keep track of them, not lose sight. I hope we can get them to flower. These are, since this is Angelo, it needs maybe 2-3 years to flower. So we will see how long we can keep them indoors. So this was my cross from 2024, 33. Angelo crossed with Fast 12. And I like that Fast 12 hybrid a lot. I see so much potential in those seeds. And I also want to say these Fast 12, that hybrid, I got from a breeder called Macondo Cactus. They were called Cactain Fast before that. And I really recommend you check out their eBay shop, their profile, because they have so many amazing hybrids, and I would love to buy more. But I'm currently in a situation where everything I earn goes into and making sure the house is heated and all that stuff. But I really recommend Macondo Cactus. They are a great breeder. They have some amazing hybrids that I would work with if I had a little bit more money available. So if you want to have a good kind of, if you want to be in a good spot to make crosses, these are pretty good. Like Fast 11, Fast 12 are hybrids that I personally have. And I am already sure that the offspring that will come from them in the next years will be amazing, will be good stuff. Check it out. And this is not an ad. This is I would, if this were an ad, I would say they're just a good breeder. And you know how it is today on social media. So many great breeders don't get like the algorithm attention that they would need, that they would deserve. It takes 5, 6, 7 years to be seen on social media, and a lot of people don't have the mental strength to see it out until the end. I almost didn't have it either. I just made it because I was, I don't know, I was too busy to give up, you know. So yeah, I want to use my position long term to help other breeders. That is something that I will always try to do on social media and here. Yeah, someone writing that they are looking forward to getting the seeds that they get from another breeder, from a friend. I believe in supporting good breeders because most of them aren't doing it for the money. So many good breeders are barely surviving, barely. And yeah, that is something that stuck out with me, you know. That is the reason why I often try to allow sales in our Facebook groups, sales in the the communities that we build. Also on Reddit, we also have a subreddit where we allow sales. It is just something that is part of funding the hobby. Sometimes a lot of good breeders, they don't really make a lot of profit, but they keep themselves afloat by just selling off a few plants here and there, and most of that goes back into the hobby. Most of the money that breeders earn is either put in like in seeds or in building a better setup in other plants. That's just the breeder's life. It is part of it, you know. So I totally understand that selling is also important. You know, I want to stress that because sometimes I criticize how exploitative the prices on the market have become, how incredibly expensive some clones have become. But it doesn't mean I don't understand that selling is just a way to continue with their work for a lot of breeders. That is also important for me. Okay, so it's second tag, we split them up. Angelo crossed with Fast 12. And I also hope that with these seedlings, I might get something that is similar to Angelo, because I lost my Angelo plant last year or sometime in between last year and now. You need to keep a close eye on these lobevias because they are small, they are not so tall, and sometimes the larger plants can put shade over them, and then before you know it, you've lost the plant. Goes so fast. Someone wrote that a friend of theirs doesn't have a lot of space, so he gives away stuff to others, and that is an important part of what breeders do, just sharing plants with others. Often not to make money, often just to ensure that the plants are still around, that they are being propagated. And I appreciate that. That is something that kindness to share plants with each other is something that I've seen among a lot of breeders. Not all. There are some that try to get money out of everything, but it's not. But the majority are good people who just who love that community kind of feeling that you get from sharing whatever, like vegetables or stuff you've grown, you know. So a lot of good and people with a big heart that just share. It's why I originally felt so home in that community. Like when I got started, everyone was willing to give away something for free. There were all these giveaways. There were also like sales posts, but even the sales posts were priced very fairly. And that kind of feeling of community is what attracted me in the beginning to that whole scene, to the whole plant community. And it doesn't even matter what kind of a plant we are talking about. No matter if it's a cactus or any kind of other plant. A lot of people in this community are very generous. That is probably the takeaway that a lot of people will have. And that sense of community can help you when you are not doing well yourself, you know. Me feeling home in the community might be the reason I'm still here today. I had years when things aren't like, just when I sought out the plant community, when I got into the plant community, I was going through a crisis in my life, and I just felt home. I felt accepted. It felt like I was among friends, even if if I was living in another country. But you had people that supported you without condition, and that was a great feeling. And I hope that however the communities will change long term, I hope that sense of community stays intact, because I've also seen a lot of infighting in the last 5 years or so, a lot of cactus drama that I've seen that I completely stepped away from. I just hope that the sense of community will stay like that. Also through the difficult political times that we're now, where people argue, where friendships break, where families break. it is important to have that place where you can feel like you belong. There are a lot of good people in this community, and you often you only know in situations where you need them. Sometimes it isn't visible on the surface, but when you need help, the community often comes together. Being it like people who are in need because their home burned down, or because they lost someone, or because they have depression, whatever it is, In so many cases, I have seen the communities come together, even with the way it is now, with all these separate Facebook groups that all are like these micro communities within a bigger community, But if something happens, we often come together, and that is what often makes the difference. That can make the difference whether or not someone gets up in the morning, whether or not they feel like they wanna continue. I really can't stress that enough. I don't think I would have come into the community if it weren't like for the friendships that I made. That was for me the main part. I was just looking for a place to belong. I was looking for somewhere where I felt like I was among friends. And if you're like on the long term, it worked out perfectly. I mean, sometimes the difficult times bring us, they just show us who our friends are, or maybe they show us our past a little. They make it more clear when you are in need of something, and you see people having your back where you didn't think that would happen. I haven't done in the past. We did a lot of Christmas giveaways in our Facebook group, and I haven't done it in a few years, mostly because I was too burned out. But this year is the first year where I'm considering to do it again. It's not something that is, it's not certain, but I seriously consider doing the Christmas giveaway again this year, just because I want to, I don't know, I've lost friends just today, from that are maybe that kind of stuff is necessary every now and then to remind us all that this community is here in times of need, that if you feel desperate, we have your back, even when you don't feel like it in the moment. So yeah, maybe we're doing it this year. Hey, thank you. Yeah, the shirt. Dave said it's a cool shirt. This is like, I really like these, and these were so hard to get. Like this is some kind of, I don't know, Japanese designer, I think, and they did a collection with Adidas. I don't like expensive clothes, but I really like that. It says Zivilcourage. That is something like, I don't know if you can translate it. It means something like civil courage to do the right thing. When you see something that happens that isn't all right, when you see someone, I don't know, attacking someone and helping, that kind of stuff. I find that important. So the shirt struck a nerve with me. I believe that's important, in our world where we all have our own lives. We live our separate lives. We sit beside each other in a train or in a bus, and we are together but all separate. We look down into our phones and stuff is happening around us. And I feel like it's important to, when you see something where you feel like you should interfere, it's important to do it, because we have become so separate these days So it's important to remind us sometimes, you know. Yeah, Maria said that she lost her greenhouse 10 years ago, and I know how that feels. I lost a greenhouse. Let me think. It might be 10 years ago. You know, I have built some cheaper greenhouses in the beginning, and when I built that cheap greenhouse, that greenhouse only cost me a couple €100. That might already sound like it's expensive, but in order to have a good greenhouse here where I live, with the cold weather, with the constant storms, you just need a solid greenhouse. And those entry level greenhouses, they are just too cheap. They will fall apart. And I had such a hard time with that greenhouse because it kept falling apart. I had to constantly, every time there was a storm, I already woke up in bed and I knew I need to get out to keep my greenhouse from flying apart. And every morning after a storm, I knew I had to go to the neighbor to get some parts that flew away. Because these greenhouses, they have these little metal things that just hold the window panels, the panels in place. And these things are not good enough for a real storm. You can use them, but you need to put in hours and hours of work fixing every panel yourself. If you don't, it will fly apart. The panels will fly away. The panels are too thin, so they don't have the stability, and the wind blows them away. And then at one night, I'm not sure when it was, but it was one of the first storms of the year, maybe April, March, something like an early storm. That greenhouse took off. It took off and flew into a tree directly besides it. It was a total loss, and for one, I was heartbroken, but at the same time, I knew that would be the end of the cheap greenhouses for me. Then I did my books. I wrote my books, and only through the books I could afford a better greenhouse. The ones that I have now, they cost something like 2,000 maybe, and that's a lot of money. It was a lot of money for me too, and I was only able to afford them by making the books. And yeah, and since then, it's completely quiet. I haven't had to go out at night to look for my broken greenhouse every year. And now I would never get a greenhouse like that I had in the beginning, because they are also not like the base. It just doesn't have a foundation that connects firmly enough to keep it from like going airborne. So yeah, I understand the pain of losing a greenhouse. I lost a greenhouse to a storm, and I once lost a whole greenhouse full of cacti when the heater broke while I was in a hospital. That was 2008, maybe 2007, I'm not sure. But it was a cold year, and I was just in the hospital for a week or two, but it was enough for total loss. So yeah, I can really recommend that you try to get, if you do not have the funds to get a better greenhouse, try to keep an eye on marketplaces, marketplace ads, or something like, you know, what Craigslist used to be. I'm not sure if Craigslist still exists, but keep an eye on the greenhouse sales, because every now and then old people that just want to get rid of their greenhouse because they no longer want to deal with the hobby, because it's a hard hobby. And very often old people get rid of their great greenhouses for cheap, it often is enough to just drive a few hundred kilometers, drive to another state to pick it up, to take it apart and build it again at your place. So sometimes you can get these greenhouses for free or for very little money. So keep an eye on that. But these greenhouses, they often sell within an hour. They sometimes sell within 10 minutes. So you need to keep an eye out for everything that comes up. If you don't have a budget, if you don't have a good budget, keep an eye out for the sales ads, for the classified ads and all that, because there you can get amazing greenhouses, sometimes even with heater, sometimes with tables. I've seen so many amazing greenhouses. If I had just been able to drive somewhere to pick them up, that is something you need to do. You need to have a big, like a car, a truck, something like that. But if you have that, you can get a great greenhouse for very little money. Yeah. Dave is writing that every greenhouse he had has been like second-hand greenhouse. And that is really true, because the good greenhouses, they are built to last for 20 years or so, 20, 30. Those newer polycarbonate panels, like PVC panels and this kind of material, it hardly deteriorates. They can break, but it's very hard to break them, and they stay usable for very long. So keep an eye out for this kind of stuff. I did it for a while, but right now I'm not in a position to drive through the country to pick up a greenhouse. I did that before, but I wouldn't be able to do it today. Maybe at another time. But that is the kind of stuff that I would do if I were in urgent need of a greenhouse. Or maybe put an ad out saying, hey, I'm looking for a greenhouse. I don't have a lot of money, but I will come and pick it up and take it apart. That already means so much to the older people who are no longer healthy enough to do the hobby. And that happens so often. That happens every year. I see, like, I used to be a member in the German Cactus Society. I only went out because it was expensive every year. But every month there were these ads in their magazine about people giving away amazing collections, or giving away their greenhouse, or giving away their cactus books, which can also be expensive. So always keep an eye out for that. That is a great, you can save a lot of money like that. Okay. Want to sow out a little bit more. Like I said, I'm happy to take general questions. If you have a question, just write it in the comments. Happy to take it. If not, we're sowing out again. Here's a cross by Uwe Kahle that I want to sow out. And this is from a cross from 2023. Cross between Bravi and Kinky. Uwe Kahle hybrid from 2017. Crossed with Bamboy. There are a lot of follow-up hybrids with Bamboy already. In my collection, it took me until 2025 to get it to flower. But Uwe has been breeding with that thing for at least 10 years now. No, not 10, but 7 years. This is a cross from 2017. So he's been making the crosses with Bamboy for a while now. Someone asking if I keep track of how many plants I have. No, not a chance. I lost track years ago. I have 3 greenhouses, and they are so full, also full of seedlings, that I couldn't tell you how many I have, but I suspect it is at least 5,000-10,000 plants, probably more. But you know, you counting the seedlings, where you have a container that has already 20 seedlings in it, you know, that makes a lot of plants if you count it. Maybe one day I will try to count, but it's very unlikely that I will be able to do it. You just, at some point, you lose track. you also have a lot of doubles and all. Hey mate, good morning or good evening. So yeah, so this is the cross KA23 117 KA17 79 22 crossed with Bamboy. Okay. Hey mate, someone asking about what cross I'm the most proud of. Okay, look, I always had money problems when I was like when I got into the hobby. I was always breeding, but I never had a really good greenhouse until later. So a lot of the crosses that I made, the good ones with a lot of potential, are starting around 2017. 2017 is the year where my breeding really took off because the greenhouses allowed me to do it more efficiently. And yeah, around that time, I made the first big crosses, and one of them brought a hybrid called Witchcraft that I'm very proud of today. That was a cross between a columnar Trichocereus and a multi-hybrid with Gräsers hybrids, Gräsers Erfolg, Gräsers Schönste, and a Hilde Winterer. And that cross brought out quite a lot of hybrids that turned out amazingly. And I'm very proud of that one. Also, I'm proud of the hybrid between Winteriana and Subdenudata. By the way, I just want to say I just got a warning on my phone that that phone is overheating. In case that stream will drop, I will put the charging cable on it. Hey guys, I'm just in here for short because my smartphone is overheating. I'm not sure why. So I'm sorry for dropping out of the stream. This has happened for the first time, so I'm not sure how to deal with it. But I will do another stream later. If the overheating, yeah, my phone is overheating. I've got like a warning message that my smartphone is overheating. I guess being on live stream is a little bit too much for it. I already have a new one. Yeah, I think maybe it was the wood oven. But I already have a new one. I just brought the new phone here because I thought I might be able to stream from that one. But that is the phone that has such a terrible reception here. I wasn't able to go live. So at some point, if this keeps being a problem, I would just switch to the new phone. But it's not ready yet. You know, I still need protection for this thing because I keep dropping everything. I always, with the muscle problems after Lyme disease, I often drop it. So it needs to be in a case and all that. But yeah, the overheating thing can happen at any point again. If I'm going offline again, I would just do another stream later today, maybe in the evening, when the phone has had time to cool down a little bit. But for now, it works. So yeah, let's do this for a little bit. But if it goes away, then I'm sorry. I guess I'm doing too many things on the smartphone, and in here it's really hot. It might play a role. I took it out of the protection thing because that might also play a role, that it can't cool down efficiently. But yeah, I'm back for now. Yeah, I might have a good 30 degrees Celsius in here. So yeah, unfortunately, and every time I do a live stream, I can feel that the smartphone is heating up. Yeah, to get back about my favorite cross, where it stopped me, that Witchcraft cross. I'm very proud of that. So yeah, thank you. I also like the name. And there are some sisters from that cross that are also great, that will also get a name. I haven't really named them yet, but it's in discussion. And yeah, but there are also many other crosses that I'm proud of. And it's just started, because like I said, I did most of the crosses in 2017, and it takes a good 7 years for them to flower, sometimes even longer, 7 to 10 years. And now some of the crosses are flowering for the first time. And yeah, there will be a lot more of these proud moments where I see a cross that I made, that I'm very proud of, and it is a great feeling, because I haven't had that so much in the past. I always knew I was a great breeder. I always spread seeds. I propagated stuff. But with a greenhouse, you can work in a different, it just took me to another level. I really recommend getting a greenhouse. Everyone who has trouble growing cacti indoors, get a greenhouse, because I had problems indoors too. It's so difficult because they don't flower well when you have them, when you move them around into the house, into the cellar, and outdoors again. And yeah, it is the greenhouse brought everything to another level. It made it possible that I could do it. And I'm looking forward to a lot of the new hybrids that I see in the next years. I already have a list of names that I want to use, but I want to keep it for the really good ones, for the best of the best. And sometimes it takes a while for them to flower. Maybe I will bring something here to cool the phone. I'm not sure. This wasn't the problem until today. This is the first time that the stream stopped. I guess maybe it was also because I had too many apps at once open on the phone. I write on Facebook, then I write on Instagram, and you know how all these apps drain the battery, drain the smartphone. And yeah, it's just too much for the smartphone that I used over the last couple of years. I used them extensively. I see them as tools. They are really work tools for me. And the smartphone often doesn't hold longer than maybe 3 years, 2-3 years. Every time I switch my phone, I use the old one for time-lapse videos now. So that I hope that it will be useful for that. Then I will work with the new one for the streaming, and the old phone will be used to record time-lapse videos overnight. And yeah, but I mean, they aren't building these smartphones to last either. They built them to maybe make it another few years, but then some kind of upgrade comes that completely takes away the battery life. And yeah, you see it with so many smartphone manufacturers. They are just building. They aren't building them to last, because otherwise I would love to stay at one device, but the camera on the old phone isn't really so clear. I always have to have the light on to get it to have the same definition that the new one has. It's just a constant changing of phones for me. And also because I drop them constantly, so I'm very careful. Gotta get me like a case and one of these foils that you can put on the display. But yeah, I want to put that lamp back on, and then we'll stream a little bit longer. If I go away, it's the phone overheating again, but I will do it as long as I can. So give me a second. Okay. So yeah, let's continue sowing out a little bit. If I drop another time, I'm not coming back until later, maybe in the evening. I will have to think how to solve it. Maybe I will order me a protective case for the new one that I can start using it. I'm just still careful. I don't want to break it in the first weeks. But yeah, that shows that the new phone, you know, they lied about the reception here. I got me a new contract and I checked if they can provide service where I live, and they said they could, and now I have it, and there's not even one bar of reception. I find that really, like, it should be illegal to do that, you know. They should be forced to be honest about not having the reception that the other companies have, you know. If they would be honest about it, they wouldn't have gotten half the contracts, probably, you know. Dave, I even think that the thing that I have is from Armor, or one of the cases that I have is from Armor, but I'm not sure. That I think aren't they doing like cases too, like for smartphones? I didn't know that they are a phone company, but I know that's the name of some of the protective cases that I might have used. I'm not sure, but I think I did. So yeah, later today I will try to get me a new case. Yes, sir, Robert. Hey, Robert. Nice to see you. And you know, Robert just wrote, it should be illegal for the government to be dishonest. That is something that I completely agree. You know, I try to stay away from politics, so I'm using this as a, you know, just once, you know. But I cannot believe that politicians are able to make promises in their election campaign that they break later on. I still today can't wrap my head around that they can legally just promise stuff that they never do. I will never. Maybe I'm too naive. Maybe I'm too just not much of a town boy to really understand that. But in politics, I will never understand that they can make promises and then don't follow up on them. That is something. It should, at the very least, it should be frowned upon. People should, like the media, should put them on full blast if they promise something and don't follow up. It should probably be illegal too, you know, but you cannot like legally force someone to have some kind of character, you know, but it should be so frowned upon that they aren't doing it, that they have to fulfill their promises that got them elected in the first place. But yeah, if I'm starting with, I try to stay away from politics because it's so exhausting today. So much divisiveness, and you know, it's the style of politics today to just, no matter, they are no longer solving problems. You know, I believe that no matter which party they belong to, it should be their first and foremost mission to solve the problems that we have. And if they aren't, like, currently they are not trying to solve problems, they just try to make the other side look bad by blocking any progress. You know, they know that sometimes there are decisions that need to be bipartisan, that everyone needs to agree on. So they do nothing anymore and just like block any kind of progress. And that is the style of politics today that makes me not want to have anything to do with it. I hate it. It is the kind of politics that doesn't help the people, that doesn't help the taxpayers. It only helps them. It only helps their party. I guess they're running it like a business. And from that point of view, it makes sense, you know. But I believe they forget that they are voted to be our representatives. They are here for the taxpayers, to make life easier, to solve problems, and none of them are doing it. They're doing stuff that gives them benefits, and sometimes the people benefit from that too. I don't want, you know, it's never like black and white. There are also nuances and politicians that also do something good with a bill that they put through. But the big problem with politics today is that no matter what a party does, they could do the best stuff ever. They could do everything right. The other party would say, would look for reasons to attack them, would look for reasons to blow up little tiny things that are nothing, where people could agree on to change stuff, where everyone would probably agree that there needs to be a bill needs to be worked on, needs to be corrected, but it's only blocking in order to say, look, the other side failed completely because they couldn't get that bill through, they couldn't change that. And that is, in my opinion, that is the problem with politics, and why I decided I don't want to be a political influencer. Like on Instagram, there was a time when I was posting fairly political, because I believe in social justice. I believe in helping people that need help. I believe in funding health insurance, that kind of stuff, But there was a time when I really looked at politics and considered like stepping in a little bit, but the dishonesty, the constant, no matter what the other party does, it's always bad. I couldn't live with that. So I decided, for me, look, I know that right now everything is political, and every now and then I say something that is political because just I care for human rights, that's political too. I care for people being able to go to school, to learn, to become better, because it's in humanity's best interest when people are educated, because science and all that has brought us here where we are today, where I'm talking into a smartphone, which is the result of science, which is the result of so many people going to school and learning, becoming better and having an education. So that these are things that I personally believe in: tax-funded education and healthcare, because I've been sick and I know how bad it is when you are sick, how important it is to just have a health system that allows people to become sick at one point in their life and recover from that and not go bankrupt. That's the kind of stuff that matters to me. But overall, I try to stay away from politics. It is just too dishonest. I couldn't do it. And you see how much anger that is currently in politics, how both sides fight very vehemently against each other. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying both sides are the same right now. I'm not saying that, but this constant cycle of pushing stuff up and constantly trying to create anger, to generate a user base that is behind you, to have the people vote and be online and argue about it, that kind of passion that they are bringing in, it leads to the times that we are in right now, where there's violence, which I'm strictly against, because I believe that it creates a cycle that you cannot escape. At some point, we will have to come together again and try to solve problems again, create politics that helps everyone. And if that doesn't happen, this divisiveness will not stop, because there will always be a lot of people that feel like life wasn't fair. It feels like and I'm not surprised, because life has been hard lately. The inflation is so bad, and globalization has led to so many companies leaving for countries where it's cheaper to produce, where it's cheaper to manufacture. So there are all these unhappy people that are without jobs. So I completely understand the frustration, and they're looking for a way out. So they are voting for politicians that promise them answers, and the names don't matter. In this case, it's Trump, but it's also in other countries. It's the same in so many countries. It's not, Trump is just a symptom of the fact that so many people are struggling and they aren't trusting the system anymore. They aren't trusting the system to help them fix their problems. And that is why I understand where a lot of people are coming from, like that that feeling that you have been forgotten, by politics. They feel like they have been forgotten by these people that they always voted into government. They feel like they aren't part of the club, so they are picking someone that feels like an outsider, someone that promises will change everything. But very often, changing things is very difficult. It takes time. It takes patience, and it takes people coming together, solving problems together. And I don't see that with today's politics. So when I talk politics, it's because I either feel there's a social thing, a social factor that matters to me, that I need to comment on. I commented yesterday. I commented on food stamps. I commented on food stamps because I feel like we are talking too much about people getting food stamps and that kind of stuff. People who already get food stamps, they are the poorest of the poorest. They already had to prove that they are poor. So when politicians look for like a few percentages to gain, when they look for an easy victim, it's often people on food stamps or poor people who get social security. But we are living at times of AI. AI is coming for a lot of jobs, and we need to think about what we will do when more and more whole industries are without a job. What will we do when more and more people lose their jobs? And I mean, we need to afford them a basic living, a basic way of life, because otherwise, every time a society has a huge group of people that feel like they have been forgotten, it backfires. It's good for society to also care for the weakest. So yesterday I posted on food stamps, and that was an exception, because I really thought about doing it, and I didn't even want to do it, but people were talking about food stamps like that is a huge problem, like people getting food stamps to buy super expensive Coca-Cola and stuff like that. That was the discussion on social media, and I felt like they are just trying to not talk about the fact that they had closed the government for so long, that so many people need the food stamps right now, that the military works without pay for so long. They talk about having the military, supporting the military, but they need to be paid too. And right now they just need the food stamps. So I found it dishonest to now talk about food stamps when that is a direct result of the fact that they are currently having to look for all kinds of ways to make a living, to not starve. And I've been hungry in my life. I've been too poor to afford food. I've been too poor to heat the house, and I found that was something that really, really made me go on Facebook and talk about it. But I normally don't do it. I try not to, because I believe in us all coming together again. The need for us all to come together again as a society, as people, and solve the problems together. But every now and then I just can't. I can't control myself when it's something where I care deeply about, because I experienced it. So but I try to avoid it. You see, I've been really. This is something that I care deeply about, because I just know how it is to be poor, and it's not something it's not something positive. It's not something that people really like, that people enjoy. That is, of course they get food paid, but they are often missing everything else. And the reason so many people get food stamps is because they also have children. It all often affects the whole household of children that would otherwise be forgotten. Even if, a lot of the people who there are a lot of people who also make mistakes in their life, who kind of somewhat either actively or subconsciously kind of had something to do with that their life didn't work out the way they had hoped. So that happens too. It's not always like that, but it happens too. And in these cases, there's also so many, like, there are also children that we need to think about, that we need to care for, because otherwise they will grow up in the same cycle of poverty, not being able to get out of it, not being able to ever get out of it. And sometimes not everyone has the same chances in life, and I know that. And a lot of people, I mean, it's just something that you need to live through to know how it is. You never forget poverty, you never forget hunger, you never forget when you feel cold. That is the kind of stuff that you have to experience to understand that it is sometimes important to also pick everyone up. Not only, unhappy people in a society is not a good thing. It leads to what we see today. So many people being angry, and I understand the anger. It's there's no way to look at the world today, at everything happening, without also feeling a little bit of frustration, desperation, all these things, So yeah, these seedlings have a hard time right now. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. This is something that I normally try not to talk about. This is something I believe. I have my personal opinion about things, but I don't need to make it my personality. I need to make that my thing on social media. I just believe that I had the chance when I grew up in school. I had the chance to get a good education in school, tax funded. It allowed me to learn. It allowed me to become who I am today. I'm here online now talking to you English is my third language, and it allowed me to do that. Being smart enough to learn about all the nuances that are just part of life, and education. I believe it's important for wealth, because education creates wealth. Educated people discover stuff. They make discoveries. They improve society, and that is what I personally believe in. But I don't believe in arguing about it on the internet. I don't believe in fighting. I don't believe in violence. I think that is a bad thing. That is a bad road to go down, because it affects everyone. It affects both sides, not only one. So I hope that we will come out of this again, come together, be friends again, a community, to at some point solve the problems again, because we are facing a lot of problems. And if politics, if these little politicians that try to make a name for themselves wouldn't take every issue and try to politicize it, try to make it something huge, we wouldn't have so many problems. We would just try to work for a solution. And you can always argue, you can always debate about what the right path for the future is. No bill is perfect, no politician is perfect. They all have their mistakes. Today I wouldn't support a politician, like none. I don't think there's maybe a few where I believe, okay, they have good ideas, but even those kind of don't do it the way I would do it, so we just need to get back to solving problems together again. Otherwise, we will not make it long term. We would just argue and argue and argue, and nothing would change, because I don't think I have ever changed someone's opinion on the internet by arguing, by even especially politics. Politics is more something like a sports club. You feel like you either belong to that club or the other, and I don't think that changes by arguing. Something like that changes with life experience. Political opinion changes by living through times and seeing different things that surprise you, that kind of where you start questioning your whole point of view. But it doesn't happen on the internet where someone just has a few good arguments. It doesn't change, and the people who agree with you, they already agreed with you about your point of view before that, you know. So we need to get back to a point where it allows people to grow, to become, to grow as a person, and see a problem that they didn't see before that really affects us. And look, I don't feel like I belong to any of the parties that are around today. Not in my country, not in the United States, especially not in the United States where there are only two parties, you know. I feel like that two-party system is a mistake, because they run it like a business and they both live good from it. So there's no reason to change a lot. And even if they wanted to change things for the better of the people, whatever that may be, we can argue about that, you know. But even if they wanted, in the political landscape today, changes aren't possible like they used to. They go through all these instances, and the House of whatever, the House of Representatives, and the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is partisan. It follows a certain direction. So changes take forever, and so I don't feel like I belong in politics. Robert's asking about me having third language. My second language was French. I have French relatives, or relatives that live in France. Where I was born, it was Germany and France that the area was always battled for. Where I was born, they have been fighting for 2,000 years. Like the Romans were here, the Celts and all these, you know, and all these kinds of tribes that were here. And then we had like the Middle Ages. We had Napoleon III was here. Napoleon's army just camped a few meters from where I was born. So yeah, my second language was French, and I didn't like the language. I had a hard time learning it. I really liked English. English was my favorite language. But yeah, it was my third language. I had it maybe 2 or 3 years in school, and only as that third language. Someone asking if they can move to Germany. Right now, Germany is changing too. Germany is currently on the verge of voting right for the first time, like right in the political sense, for the first time since the Second World War. And it was always thought that would never be possible. But a lot of people are unhappy in Germany too. It's what I said earlier, that unhappiness, that feeling that society has forgotten about you, that the higher ups have forgotten about you and need to be reminded. We have that in Germany too, and it won't change. My prediction for the future is that right will win, will be the strongest party in a few years from now, maybe 3-4 years from now. Like when the next election is, they might even be already strongest party, and then they will have to prove that they can also solve problems, you know, which is not so easy. It is easy to become elected because you always just look at what the other guy does, what the other party does, and you say, hey man, what you did there, that was bad. And they keep posting about it, they keep saying it until it's in everyone's head. So it's not so difficult to become elected. It is more difficult to have a government that actually improves life for the people. And I don't think that this will happen. The problems that we have are just too complex. We need to work together for 10, 20 years to solve problems, and it won't happen. No kind of government that they vote in because of frustration will solve the problems that we have today. It will have to be good people coming together again, working together, being friends again. It sounds so corny, but it is that is how it is. We need to be have that feeling of unity again that we had so long, like that the Germans had after the Berlin Wall came down in the 90s, or the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s. That was the time when I grew up. I grew up from that point of view, that wind of change, that feeling of like, one of the songs that I grew up with as a child was David Hasselhoff's Looking for Freedom. That is such a corny thing, but it is how it was. And it kind of affected me growing up, because I saw the other countries as friends, you know. I always looked to the United States and was seeing friends at a different part of the world, you know. And that is how I grew up, and what I'm today. I'm still friends with Americans. I'm still friends with people from different political directions. And that has become very challenging today. Because I believe in values like, you know, helping people that need help, whatever that may be. I believe in that stuff. So it has become more difficult. So yeah, but I was always seeing the other countries as friends, you know. Someone writing about Elsass-Lothringen. I'm a Saarländer. I was a born Saarländer. You know, I was born in Saarland, Germany. So yeah, that is where I come from. And I always see myself as a Saarländer first, and second a German. Saarland is just so unique, so a kind of special place in between Germany and France, you know. They have so much from both countries, and we could always, when I was a kid, I could drive to France. We drove to a store called Cora, that was a supermarket chain that's still there, I think. And we always drove there on Christmas to buy food, and that is that was a great place to grow up. It shaped me to be who I am today. You know, I mean, the place has been influenced by war all through the years. There were like old battlefields everywhere, and it is, on one hand, it was a great place to grow up, because it taught you that today's time, it taught you that this doesn't happen in a vacuum. That it taught me to look at the history of this place, the history of us, and to see things like in a wider angle. You know, that sometimes like it might sound such a long time ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, but it's just a few generations. You know, it's just a few lifetimes. I've had relatives that fought in the wars before, that were in the First World War, in the Second, you know. And it's just, place has history. Yeah, that's a great argument. Someone wrote that they kind of felt human first. That's how it should be, you know. That's kind of how it should be, but unfortunately it isn't, in a way. Being human also means we have flaws. We think about ourselves first, and I guess it's just natural. It comes with evolution. You got to think about yourself. You got to make sure you think about your own survival, because otherwise nobody would watch out for you, like in nature, in the classic sense, how evolution is. Hey Benjamin, greetings to Australia. Thank you for being here. You know, so being selfish is just part of us. It's kind of why we are here today, why we have become this dominant species. But I think the more we grow, like, the internet has brought us closer together. I want to believe. I see social media failing at their job to not polarize, to not use our feelings to manipulate us, and they failed a little bit at it, and they need to do better. We need to remind them about their obligation, you know, their moral responsibility to also allow society to become better. And right now they just think about all that click money that they can make from generating, like, you know, from generating anger from and all that. So I really hope that long term the internet will change again, because I grew up with the internet that was full of hope. It was full of people coming together for the first time, allowing people to have these discussions worldwide. I right now I talk with people in Australia, in the United States, in Europe, and we were never so connected. And that is good and bad. But I hope we will at some point get back to the good parts and try to save that part of the internet, because otherwise it would be a waste. We would give away one of the greatest inventions of our time, something that has always allowed people to learn, to have access to education, this endlessness of education. And that has allowed us to learn, to become better. And now it's suddenly something that is also used for political reasons, as a political tool. And I hope it will stop to being like that. I hope at some point we will have mechanisms to avoid that, because otherwise we will destroy it. We will lose the internet in the way it was. Even right now, the classic websites are disappearing. Hey man, great greetings to Brooklyn. It's great to see how diverse the chat is here, how many different people are in here from so many different places, you know. I'm proud to be here. Proud that I'm able to do this, to do these streams that people watch, and that I have a point of view that people care about. So I know of the responsibility, and I try to do right with it. I try to do right with, that's why I take a step back from politics, you know. Politics, it is, on one hand, you can do so good, but you can also hurt, and I don't know, it's also a learning experience, you know. I grew up fairly conservative, and over the years I've become like more and more understanding of problems that I wasn't aware of when I was younger. I grew up in a fairly conservative household, and I would see myself as conservative even today. But I have very socially influenced conservative views, you know. I still believe we need to help people, you know. We need to ensure that they are smart, that they have great education. It was never in our best interest to just like let people like not give them the best school education that we can give them. I think that is not in our best interest. Look at all the things that science did for us, NASA, and look at the military, what they are using, all that expensive tech today. They're using all that great tech, which is built on like great people, the minds of great people who helped make discoveries that are now used in a military sense, but they could also be used for the good of humanity. They could also be used to improve society. They have all this great tech that we don't even know is around yet, you know? And they could do good with it, you know? So I just hope that at some point we will get back to our strengths, trying to learn to become better, to give the taxpayers a good education, the children a good education, because it's the next generation. We will, if at some point everyone is, they will be easier to manipulate, but there will be fewer and fewer discoveries that change the course of history. So yeah, but I would still see myself as a little bit conservative, even though by today's standard that would probably not be true. Yeah, but it's how I see myself. I don't know. I just try to stay out of these categories, you know, like being a liberal, being on the right side. I don't want to. I think these categories don't help us. They throw us back because people will automatically resist something that comes from the other side, even though they would have good arguments, no matter what side, you know. Every now and then, something, a policy that also turns out to help comes from both sides, you know, even by accident, you know, even if they do not intend it. Progress can come by accident, even from stuff that is by decisions that are made for totally different reasons, you know. Yeah, unfortunately, that is the case. But yeah, so my smartphone battery is dying on me. The smartphone is going down as we speak. So I think I will end the chat now. I also want to use this to say I don't want to have like these political discussions all of the time, because I don't want to become a political influencer. I want nothing to do with that. But I also think that I have a reach, and I want people to see me as someone who tries to help. And I don't want to be seen as part of either side. I want nothing to do with that. But I want to be someone who's seen to just try to strive for justice, for a just society. That is the kind of stuff that I believe in, and that's what I want to talk about. So maybe now is a good time to go out without having that political topic over everything, you know. But I, in my videos, I said this is a Q&A where I also comment on social stuff. I will not only comment on plans, because that's not who I am. I have my heart on my tongue. I have no filter, and I talk about what I believe in. But I do not want to be seen as someone who's a political kind of influencer. I'm not pushing an agenda. If someone asks me, I will tell them my opinion, and that's all. And you take from it what you want, you know. No, it's not. I explicitly say that I'm open to discuss all things. I'm not saying I'm only commenting on cacti. I find it important that people know who I am. But yeah, the smartphone goes empty, so I need to end the stream. I will be back tomorrow then. Okay? Thank you, guys. Talk again tomorrow. I loved this. I really loved it. It was great that we could get to know each other a little bit more. And I'll be back tomorrow and we'll chat some more. Okay? Take care. I love that you guys are here. Every one of you, thank you for being here. And I will be back. Okay? Thank you.